it's going to take a long time to understand what's happened.
So what did I lose? Well, I lost my mother, and that's a pretty complicated thing because we had a complicated relationship. So now that my mother's gone, there's really no hope of having the mother that I really needed. There was, as long as she was alive, there was always that hope that she would become my mother. It was more like I was her mother. So it's weird. Anyway, I did lose my mother, and sad. Miss her, despite the complications.
When my kid's dad died during the pandemic, I was afraid to hug them. It hurt. Later on, we managed to get over that, and we all went on a vacation together by August. But for a while there, when we were wiping the groceries down, when we were taking a shower after going to the store, we were too scared.
I want to leave behind a pattern of behavior that led me to sacrifice myself as though it would be worth it, because that is never worth it.
I lost all the public spaces that I'd inhabited with other people. I lost 5 gigs with my band. I lost a job. I lost all the guests at my home for Airbnb.
The time to pause, the time to breathe, the time to think, the liberty to change direction, the space to tell the truth.
So I was thinking about the farm and the pandemic. And last spring, there was such a huge increase in interest in gardening that we sold hundreds and hundreds more starter plants than we usually do. We were taking little seedlings that we would normally reject and just toss on the compost in the process of planting up for our wholesale accounts. And we were putting those in pots too. And some of the wholesale accounts in the Boston area were calling us up and saying, just like, bring us anything you have.
During the pandemic, I started an apprenticeship with a sheep farmer. 4 mornings a week, I went up to the sheep farm. It started on January 1, at the coldest time of the year. I learned how to help sheep give birth, pull lambs out of ewes. I carried hundreds of armloads of hay, maybe thousands of armloads of hay, heavy buckets of grain. I made a friend and mentor. And now I'm getting my own sheep, and I'm going to become a farmer.
I found love in the pandemic online. We tossed away our masks and embraced. Everything's been fine since then. It's been 8 months. Now we're going to live together. We're both vaccinated. Sometimes we have dinner with other friends who are vaccinated. I'm happy.
I think I gained a different relationship with solitude. I mean, solitude has always been important to me, and there has never been enough of it. When I was younger, it's very unusual for someone from my ethnicity and class to want to be alone. It's considered a sickness. And so that's always been true, that, like, oh, I'm weird because I like solitude. But there was no question there was no questions like that during the last year. Solitude was acceptable, even encouraged, right?
So what I hope going forward is that some of what we've been forced to learn and changes we've been forced to make during the pandemic, I hope some of them stick. I hope people keep gardening, for instance. I hope that people check in on each other and make sure they're okay. And for me, some of the busyness has fallen away from my life, some of the sense of urgency, and that's been good, and I hope that continues too. Almost like a calm in the eye of the storm, that I hope expands,
I've lost contact. I've found quiet. I hope to gain perspective.
Wow, that's that's really hard. I have lost my youth, or I'm in the process of losing what I felt like was my energetic, youthful self. So I'm trying to make peace with that. Okay. There's a lot of other things, too. But, yeah, thanks. Bye.
I've lost my way.
I lost all of my purple cabbages to a woodchuck. I planted 6 babies, and within 2 or 3 days, a woodchuck popped out of the ground in the corner of the garden and ate the tops off of all of them. And it was really depressing. And the garden is run by a bunch of hippies, and he ate the rest of all my food and baby plants while they were trying to figure out how to dispatch with his presence. I am buying vegetables.
The bloom of youth.
I have lost 8 hours each day. I have gained an evening, a bathtub, and a night's sleep. I can never remember all 4 questions. What do I hope for? I hope for all the people I love to be in the same time zone and geographical territory, so I don't have to split myself into two things.
I've lost time. I've gained patience. I want to leave behind a longing for people to have a relationship with God. And what I hope for is to love like God.